This is Samantha Clark, and this is my screencast on Campbell and Latimer versus Gallagher versus Vinton. So first we'll look at them individually. So Campbell and Latimer, which is against the 5-paragraph essay, discusses having a focus on content more than structure. So when our students are writing essays, we shouldn't give them the structure first. We should give them the chance to free write, to explore language, to discuss a novel or a piece of literature or a nonfiction text before we give them an outline for an essay, and to not over scaffold or over structure their assignments. So a major argument is the way that we teach writing is ineffective. A lot of the times we hand students an outline for a 5-paragraph essay, and their argument is that stifles the thinking process, and therefore we're not accurately or effectively teaching critical thinking. So we need to focus on students' content in their writing more than the structure of their writing, and then we may scaffold when they move into an academic essay, but to not lead with that. And scaffolding must be purposeful and not overused. Gallagher, we've read a couple of his books. One of the major points he makes is teaching skills for deeper reading with a short text is more important than understanding long texts at a surface level. So we need to teach inference. We need our students to develop critical thinking skills. Reading complex texts teaches inference and critical thinking specifically. And reading takes place in multiple stages. Pre-reading, so this is where we may do activities that lead into reading. A first read to grasp the content of a text, a second read to develop those inference and critical thinking skills, and a response to the text in writing. Vinton, our most recent read that we read 4 chapters of, argues that the quality of a text is more important than the complexity of it. And this goes with length and lexile level. So often we give students texts based on grade level, and Vinton's argument is that we shouldn't be doing that. Our focus shouldn't be that students are trying to understand the content of a complex text. It's that they have complex thinking with any text, and that creativity should be used along with fiction pieces. Since they are creative pieces, we should engage and incorporate creativity with fictional novels and pieces. And students should be taught to consider a multitude of perspectives. This is especially important in articles, nonfiction pieces, and argumentative pieces, so that when they're writing, they know to acknowledge multiple perspectives. Vinton's argument, while similarly drastic, is much different than our other authors, as a lot of what we're being taught is that we need to teach students how to understand complex and academic texts, whereas this might teach them to be overcomplex in their thoughts and overcomplex in their writing. And what's more important is that they're understanding pieces and they're doing complex things with them. We're not just trying to get our students to understand difficult, convoluted language. We're trying to choose important contextual pieces. So the similarities that we can take away from these 3 is that we need a change in the way we're teaching reading and writing. So a lot of our reading and writing is formula focused, and it's not very engaging. This focuses on creative thinking, complex thinking, and creating understandable pieces. So we need to focus on evidence-based practices, make sure that we're not just following what we were told once, that we're constantly keeping up with new studies and effective ways to teach, that we're teaching transferable skills for reading, writing, discussion, inference. We're not just reading a book and moving on, we're using that book to teach our students how to understand, infer, and work with language. We're teaching critical thinking so that students aren't just thinking on a surface level, they're connecting based on context and based on the current world around us. And we need to focus on where our students are in the learning process, constant needs assessments. We can't expect every year to be the same with our students. We need to assess and adjust based on every new batch of students and every new year, considering that everything is different, especially this year. The way we teach will be different. And we need to focus on the quality of language rather than length, structure, or lexical complexity. Our goal is for our students to be able to form complex thoughts, not simply understand convoluted language. Thank you so much.